will introduce our demo artist, who is David Savellano. He lives in Alameda, and he is a really well-known well-known artist who loves to do plein air. As a matter of fact, he's just been accepted to the Sonoma Plein Air Festival or plein air event in Sonoma. And he will be on in Sonoma from September 9th through the 14th. Well, and on the Sonoma Square, there will be a display of all the artists. So if you have time and don't have anything pending on that date, go visit in Sonoma on September 14th. At any rate, what David does is he gets on his e-bike, puts all of his stuff in his bag, and takes the ferry over to San Francisco and scopes out the city and paints plein air. He enjoys cityscapes because people, places, and a moment in time capture his interest. And it's like being a storyteller about moments of that moment in time. He's finding ways to bring, during the pandemic, he was kind of stuck at home, but he did a lot of painting, which really helped him. Anyway, his painting, Clay Street, Chinatown, was, he won Best Watercolor in Plein Air Salons December-January competition. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce David Savellano. And he sent out some materials, some images that he's going to show you how to do this. Also, he does mostly, this is great if you travel and you keep a sketchbook with you and some watercolors. I have found myself when I go on trips to take a small sketchbook and a small watercolor palette with me. I found that those drawings or small paintings, I remember them much better than the photograph that I snapped in just a few seconds because I'll forget where I took it. So even if you do a sketch with a few little colors, it's amazing what you'll remember about that place. Anyway, here's David. You're on.
Good. Want me to share screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. Does that work?
Yeah.
You want it larger, Joan?
Yes, please. There we go. That's perfect.
Hi, everybody. Liz, thank you so much for organizing the monthly programs for CWA. We all enjoy these, and it's a chance for us, to share what we know. And tonight I'm going to be doing a travel sketching demo, and I've chosen a scene from Venice, and we're also going to do some figures. And so how much time do I want to spend doing this?
You have till 9 o'clock.
Okay, good. So it looks like we could probably do the Venice sketch in 40 to 50 minutes, and then another 30 minutes on figures and drawing. And then any questions, go ahead, and if there's chat questions you want to ask what I'm doing and my process, feel free to put it in the chat, and then Liz will moderate that. Is that okay with you, Liz?
Perfect.
Okay, great. So hopefully I'm going to just show you some of I have this little sketchbook here. This is a Moleskine sketchbook. It's 5 inches by 8 inches. And I fill this up with various sketches of things I go to. I also if I have any business cards or places I go to, I use it like a scrapbook also. Sometimes I'm able to put color in and have time to do that, and sometimes I don't. I even sketched during the Hamilton show at the Orpheum Theater. I had this on my lap during the show. So you can do these right along as you're going along. Just in Venice a few months ago. So that's what we're going to do. So this is a sort of this landscape format. I have another sketchbook. This is watercolor paper, 140 pound cold press. So some sketches there. This is a little larger than this one here. Whatever's comfortable and for you when you're traveling, that's always a good idea. In terms of colors and a palette, I use a little travel palette here and a brush. I have water brushes also. This is a refillable water brush. And then I use permanent black ink pens and maybe a little flat brush. So this is perfect. It all fits into this little bag right here. Along with you just carry this and the sketchbook, and you're all set to go. So tonight we'll hopefully you have downloaded the 2 photos of the reference photos and have time to take a look at those. Okay. So journaling and sketching are both sort of ways that you could record what you're seeing, or a place and time, something that you see, you smell, you use your senses. Journaling uses like words, and photos do images, but sketches also use images, and those sketches are very personal in that these are the things that you see. And what I want to talk about today is, or this evening is, how to go about doing a sketch. And one of the scenes in Venice, as you're looking at this Venice scene, it looks really complicated. There's windows, there's people, there's different roofs and that kind of stuff. There's water, there's boats, there's usually a lot of activity. So when you come upon a scene like this, part of our job as artists is to try to simplify this scene. So one of the ways that I approach it is I look through a little viewfinder and I look for a scene similar to this, and how am I going to go about painting this? So the image in the middle is a scene that I've really simplified. So one of the things about doing a composition as complicated as this is to break it down into big shapes. So the sky and the earth, those are the 2 biggest shapes that you'll see in the photograph, and then the sketch in the middle there. That's the basic outline. So what I want to do is go ahead and do that same basic sky earth shape design here. So I'm going to go ahead and start in. Now you could do this in pencil if you want, and then come back in there and lay in the ink. But I'm going to go ahead and start right in here with the ink and try to get some of these sky earth shape on the paper here. So there's the sky, and this is the earth. All right. The next thing I want to do is put in a horizon line. So about 1/3 of the way from the up from the bottom, I'm going to just put in a very light guideline here, which would represents the horizon line. In other words, your eye level. So that's horizon line there. All right. So sky, earth, everything below this, the sky is the earth. The other shape in here, because there's water in here, there's a water shape. So let's put in this water shape here. I'm going to put, well, before I do that, I'm going to put in this figure, just a representation of a figure.
I already have a question, David.
Yeah, sure.
They want to know, one of our members wants to know what brand of brushes you use.
Brushes.
Brand, yeah.
Let's see. This one is this water brush. I think it's a I have to look. It
I
doesn't
know
have,
what you're, that
yeah,
they're
these other ones.
available in different sizes.
Yeah. This one I use the largest one they have. They have small, medium, and large and flat. I think this is I forgot the brand. Um, yeah, these at the art store, the water brush. You fill them up with water and
So that's just basically your water for your,
yeah, you could
okay,
use, if you're using this, you could also use a little bucket of water also. I have that off to the side, but if I'm traveling around and this water brush comes in handy.
yeah. And then the other brushes are
Yeah, this is
brand.
just a little flat brush. And then this is a like a number 8 pointed.
And what brand are they?
This one is, boy, it's worn off. It's been used. I think this is Da Vinci,
Okay.
and it's a, actually it's a travel brush.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah,
Saves the ferrules from,
right. Yeah, and then you just like that. Yeah.
and
So
the other
these,
one is that a Da Vinci also?
yeah, this is a Princeton.
Okay.
Yeah, a little flat shader.
Okay.
So if I want to do little flat things, this is, these are good for most small paintings,
Okay.
like an eighth sheet watercolor. All right. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
add a couple of more figures down in through here. Right. So now that we have this, basically it's a roof contour drawing. I'm going to go ahead and put that the bridge. If you look over this, a pedestrian bridge there in Venice, the footbridge. So just looking at it, the if you look at this person's shoulder here and you go all the way across, the bottom of the bridge is just a little lower than the horizon line. So I'm going to start in there and put about, I want to say here is probably right. I'm going to put a vanishing line through here also. That'll help. So this basically down in through here. And I'm going to go ahead and put a vanishing line here, just a line in through here to represent the sidewalk. So this shape right here is the water shape. Everything below the sky is the earth shape. So that very complicated. Now you notice I'm not getting into a lot of detail. I'm trying to avoid all that detail of all the windows, the chimneys, and all of that. You want to first get these big shapes first and establish those big shapes. Then from the big shapes, you could go into smaller shapes. But this is basically, it sort of puts you in a situation where you have all the basic ingredients right now for doing this sketch, right? So you could start to fill in windows and doors and that all that kind of detail after that. So were there any other questions before we get on to the next part?
No,
Okay.
keep going. You're fine.
Okay.
We'll let you know.
Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to start to drop in. Before I do that, hold on a second. I'm just going to this other pen here. I'm going to make this a little darker so we could. This pen I'm using, I use something with a medium point and then something with a fine point, two different sized nibs. When I first blocking things out, I go ahead and use the smaller nib, and then after I get these basic shapes done, I come in and outline sort of the basic shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and drop in some details here that I see, and I'll start over on this side and get some of the buildings on here. So I'll just take my pen there.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Sure.
Um is your travel driven by places you want to paint, or do you paint regardless of where you go?
I paint regardless of where I go. I keep myself entertained.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Sometimes if I'm traveling with friends or family, I tell them I'm going to be here for an hour or two. Bring me back a sandwich.
And what brand are your pens?
These are Stedler.
Okay.
Permanent black ink.
Okay.
2 nibs. That's plenty. I always carry a spare one, when I'm out traveling, because you run out of ink and that's it for you.
Yeah.
Well, you just have to go use your ballpoint pen. That's okay. So the question is, some of these are in perspective in terms of vanishing points and that, but a lot of these buildings, especially the ones in Europe, they're not built on grids all the time. They'll have curved streets, curved buildings. You just sort of have to wing it here. I'm going to try to put in some of these other break these larger earth shapes into some manageable uh, manageable other shapes I could put the windows and doors and roofs and stuff on. Boy, I look forward to doing one of these meetings in person again. It's been years actually when I heard you
Yeah,
talk about that. And we
yeah.
haven't seen each other in
Since
eons. It seems like it'll be good to see everybody.
I
Uh,
think we did our last one in May of 2020.
wow.
So it has been a long, long time.
It's been, yeah. Holy smokes.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
Yeah. I run into folks every now and then, but it'll be good to see people in person again.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people are asking, or there's been several asking questions in the chat about whether or not the live, whether we're going away from the Zoom meetings, and the answer is no. We know that we have a real loyal audience of folks that want to still view us on Zoom, and we do plan to continue streaming any live meeting that we do. And right now, it's just one for this year. Um, and if it goes well, as Liz mentioned, we might try to do 3 or 4. If it goes really well, we might try to do all of the meetings again in person, but we will stream them as well. And we will continue to record the demos and put them on YouTube.
Excellent.
So it'll be the best of all worlds.
Yeah, great.
Kind of like what we're doing with workshops. We're
Yeah.
still doing virtual workshops as well as live workshops.
This area right in here that I'm doing, you really can't see it too well, but I'm sort of going to fake it in. I'm going to pretend I have an awning here and then a storefront of some sort. This is going to be a balcony with some railings in here, and this is sort of the building on the right side here that's in shade. So the trick here is not to get into a lot of detail at this stage. I mean, a lot of, you don't have to put in all the mullions and the shades and all of the things that are way off into the distance. It is about this bridge mostly. And so the detail that I want to put in is going to be on this bridge, all the balustrades, the people on there, the different textures and the shadow, all that kind of stuff. All this little background stuff, don't get too fussy with it. it's just going to indicate that there is a building in the background here. They do have these columns at the end of the bridge here. I'm going to put those in. And then there's some over here. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. I'm going to put in, looks like there's some kind of a boat there. And then there's another boat over here. Hover over it. It has some pilings over here.
So David, even if you didn't have time to paint it, what you've done so far will evoke that exact memory, what you've done so far.
Yeah. What if, let's say, hey, Dave, the bus is leaving in 5 minutes and I'm not done. We're getting on the
Exactly.
bus. We're going to get something to eat. So I will take a reference photo, and then later back at the hotel later that evening, I'll break open the sketchbook and get my little kit of paints and add the paint to it. But I'll have a reference photo that I could paint from. So again, this is a sketch. This is not a rendering. No need to get into a lot of fussy little detail. If you are, put it where it counts, and it's basically at this pedestrian bridge here is where the action is. So I'm going to start to put in some little more detail in here. And of
Dave,
course, there's little people up here. Some people up on the bridge.
David, you may have already answered this. I apologize if you did. Is there a logic to where you're using the heavy lines versus thin lines?
Yeah, I just want to add emphasis to the sky earth shapes and the
Okay.
big shapes. Yeah. Otherwise, if you look at like the water line, over like in this area right in here in the distance.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I call them ground lines because it's sort of it puts the thing on the earth. It's not floating around. And I like to establish good ground lines.
Is that a typical nomenclature that sketch artists use then
No.
for no, it's something you like doing?
It's one that I just like doing. I don't
Okay.
like to see them floating around. So
Okay.
like at the bottom of buildings, I always put put in some kind of darker line, like in through there
Mhm.
or through here, let's say.
So I have another question. It's going to be from another member. It's going to be a long one. How did your work as an architect shape your painting today?
The painting today, I guess, is observation. I
Okay.
look at shapes and shadows like we were taught in school. When you're trying to draw something, you're looking at uh, the shapes of shadows, and especially when I like doing plein air work, and so it's influenced my plein air work by looking at shades and shadows. That's really
Right.
helpful. The other thing is windows and doorways. I always like looking at those and how they're constructed and the details. So that's how it's sort of influenced. But when I'm painting like this or doing a sketch, sometimes um, yeah, it isn't always good as a painter to get bogged down in all these details as well. So you could get carried away with the detail and forget that uh, I'm looking at the more about the painting rather than the rendering part of it, you know. So it's helped, but at the same time, I have to remind myself this is not a rendering. This is really a painting, and and even this one, this is a sketch. This you don't want a lot of detail, you just enough to tell the story. So the other part of the story, I'm going to go ahead and probably put in some of the heavier shadow lines in here that I'm seeing.
David, can you explain the rendering versus the actual drawing? What's the difference? I don't understand so much rendering.
Okay, I have to repeat that again. I was doing
The
something.
rendering, I don't understand what's the difference between the rendering and the sketching, you said, or something?
Oh, doing the windows?
No, rendering,
Oh, the
rendering.
rendering part. Yeah. The
Yes.
rendering is more detailed. You want to tell the client, hey, your house is going to look like this, your building's going to look like this. So they want to see a lot more detail.
Okay.
And this is really an impression.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's the impression of something.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Um, like these little dark windows here, the building that's closest to us, I'm going to probably put in a few darker um, windows in here. I'm going to make sure this is in focus here. Okay. Now, the water probably has some ripples in here. I'm not going to put in a lot of waves in here. I just want to indicate that there is some texture and little wave patterns in here. Not a lot, though. So based on the amount of time that one has to devote to doing a sketch like this, I try to I have the 50-50 rule. 50% of the time is doing the drawing, and the other 50% is adding some paint on here and doing a wash. So I have enough drawing here for this sketch. So let's say I'm doing a 40-minute sketch, 20 to draw and 20 to paint. And even 20 to paint is actually a long time. You could, with this size sketch, you should be able to, put in a wash. We're not trying to put in thick paint here. It's just a wash. Okay, so let's just go over what we have. We have the sky earth shape, some details in here. Not a lot. Some indication of background in here. And then the ground line in here, which is the sidewalk. I'm going to go ahead and put in some sidewalk marks on there.
Another question, is your travel paint box a stock item, or did you select the pan colors yourself?
This is I select these paints myself. This is kind I normally would use. Like a lemon yellow and a cad yellow, cad red and alizarin. I know these colors aren't coming in too good. An olive green, a perylene green, a burnt sienna, and I forgot what this is. Cobalt turquoise, and I think a lavender,
right?
Cobalt blue, and then an ultramarine blue.
Okay.
Yeah, 12
Is that
colors.
maybe a Payne's gray that you have there? Payne's gray.
Maybe. It could be. Let's see. Oh, it's a number.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's a Van
Looks
Dyke
like a
brown.
number.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I use tube paints in here. I just squeeze out tube paints. These are the same colors I use in my regular palette as well.
Okay.
This
And
is
the
very
brand,
handy. This is a very small,
yeah. What brand is that?
Oh boy. You had to ask me that. I think I got it
uh,
from Whiskey Painters.
Whiskey Painters.
Yeah,
Oh,
they make
do they
these.
do they drink that stuff while they're making?
Yeah, well, they have to drink it in order to make these.
And your brand of paints?
I use Daniel Smith
Okay.
and
Perfect.
a couple of Winsor Newton colors is also.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we're ready to put some paint on here. I'm going to do it to water brush.
Okay.
So everybody gets to see how this works. Get a little paper towel, clean off the brush a little here. Just squeeze and it'll self-clean itself. I usually start on the sky. And just squeeze out paint.
The whiskey palette, right?
Yeah.
And you can get it where?
I bought it online.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I just put it
Usually
in
when I'm sketching and I'm painting, I go from the top down. Go ahead, pop some color in there.
I just put the palette online. It does have a flask built into it.
I almost choked on my water.
Now we're learning a little bit more about you, David.
Oh yeah.
I like it.
Certainly adds another dimension to it.
Yeah. So I'm using the cobalt blue for the sky, a burnt sienna for the roofs.
What was your two greens that you used?
The greens, I'm using an olive green.
Okay,
But for this painting, I'm going to be using cobalt turquoise.
okay. And then the perylene green too, right?
Yeah, I have a perylene green. I don't know if I'm going to use that in this painting. I
Right.
use it for trees usually, the shadows
It's
on trees.
cobalt teal that you use,
Yeah, this the cobalt blue in here. Um,
but the turquoise was cobalt turquoise.
yes, cobalt turquoise. Yeah.
Dave, do you always tape around your pages on your sketchbooks?
Always? No.
Okay. Mm.
But I must tell you, when I was teaching, I used to tell people to carry it around, Um, and I was carrying them around quite a bit. I know when I was working, I'd have my sketchbook, and I could do sketches at during lunch hour. So I'm going to leave that white building white. Everything else, I'm going to start putting in. Oh, I see the cobalt turquoise here. I'm going to go ahead and add that into the. And while I'm at, I'm going to put some over here. And then I'm going to put some in the water here for the water. Orange likes blue. Think about contrast when you're putting in these colors.
And opposites of the color wheel,
Yeah, right,
complementary colors.
exactly, right. Warm that up a little. Now make a gray, take some of that burnt sienna and cobalt blue and go ahead and make some gray for the sidewalks here. Again, these are washes, so very little water in here. I'm just sort of using whatever I have here in the palette for water. I'm not trying to keep dipping in or squeezing this brush. Let's see this figure over here. I'm gonna whoop. See, my light went out there. Oh, one of my lights went out. Okay. I'm testing it and see if it's dry. I could put in some shadows in. I'm going to clean this off and then for my shadows, I'm going to use a blue violet.
Okay.
So
So I have another question for you. What size paper do you use when you go on a paint out? What size paper? How big?
I use quarter sheets, 12 by 18, 12 by 12, and then half sheets, 15, 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Let's see. So I'm taking ultramarine and some alizarin or carmine, either one you could use. And it's a blue violet. Sometimes when I'm adding shadows, I'll purposely, rather than, they may look like they're horizontal, but I actually will put in a diagonal shadow just to break it up a little.
Looks good.
I'm starting to get fussy. So that tells me I should stop and look at this. I think I'll probably add a little yellow under this boat down in here. Put a little yellow over here, and maybe just a spot of yellow here in the window. Try to focus in on this a little more here. So that's as good as it's gonna get. So I actually put a little masking tape around this and get a nice clean edge out of this.
So do you carry masking tape with you when you go on trips?
Yes, I do.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That looks great, David.
Yeah.
Does. Very nice, David.
You see how that thick line really sort of makes it pop?
Yeah.
You know, that's just a style. That's just a preference that I have. So I would probably put in, just looking at this, the shadow underneath the bridge, the shadow of the bridge on the water here. So I'll take a mixture of some ultramarine and the cobalt, and then just put in. Yeah, that's it.
Beautiful.
Keep
Well
it
done.
simple.
Beautiful.
Nice white of the paper. All right, watercolorists. That's what we're known for. You should use the white of the paper.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Are there any questions on this from the chat?
Nope, none on the chat right now.
Okay. So we have, I'm going to change the scenes here and put in the figures up there, and let's see if they're hiding back here. No, they're not hiding there, not hiding there, not hiding there.
Well, I see your figures over on the left side.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. I think they're like they're like, let me see if oh, there they are. Okay.
Yep. There we are.
Okay. So I have to move these over to put these in the front here. I'll just move this off to the side and make it smaller here.
Good.
Somebody else is moving around.
So I'll move this out of the way. I'll get another piece of paper here. So for this exercise, I want to talk a little about how we put some people in our sketch. Is that paper? Could you see the edge of this paper here?
Yes, but I can't see the top edge. There.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good. All right. I'm gonna move this down a little here. Okay, good. So, these are reference photos you get online. People doing things, and if you just Google photos of people, you'll come up with different types of activities people are doing. So they have ones for beach scenes, all sorts of different things. But I just chose these because these are people that sometimes I like to put in paintings. So I want to talk a little about how we go about putting people in our paintings and sketches. Okay. I'll be doing pretty much contour drawing of these figures. And what I'm looking for is really the gesture. What are they doing? Are they walking? Are they holding hands? Are they standing still? Are they taking photos? What are they doing? Is it a couple? Is it somebody in a bike or a stroller? Whatever it is, that's what I'm looking for a gesture. And I'm going to try to get that. So this takes practice, and if you're not used to putting figures in your paintings, I do it because I do a lot of cityscapes, and it makes sense for me to put people in there. Otherwise, it looks like an abandoned city. I like to show the activities. So for this exercise, I want you, if you have printed out already, that's take from each row, take one figure from each row. So for example, let me get this over here. Take a figure, this one, maybe this couple here, and maybe this woman down here or something, or somebody with a bike. Choose one from each row, and then we're gonna go about sketching these and then putting some color on them. So, and I'm gonna show you actually it's the different scales that you would use people on, how you would render those people or how you draw those people in perspective. Okay, so start with a horizon line when you're going to practice. So there's the horizon line. All right. So I'm going to take, let's say, this person in the upper right corner. What is he doing? He's there. So his head is going to go on the horizon line like this. And then I'm going to do a contour drawing. This V, this upside down, this A right in here of his pants. Look at the shape of that. I'm drawing shapes right now. All right. It's got a shoulder. It's got the elbow, and then his hand is coming up to his chest. You have the kneecap, the calf. It's got a little shoe shape here and here. And what I'm doing when I'm doing the shoes, I'm looking for the shadow of the bottom of the shoe to inform me where it's hitting the ground and how it's hitting the ground. The other part here is the shadow shape under there. Looks like he's got some kind of a shoulder bag under here. And he's got some stripes. Got a pair of sunglasses on. Jump. And a V-neck there. My next figure is, let's see, I'll take this lady right here. She's walking towards us. There we go. Put her head on the horizon line as well. Looks like she's looking down, so her eye level is like in there. Got sunglasses on. Chin, the neck. And then somebody from the third row. How about this person in the bike? Again, heads on the horizon line. I'm going to put her eyes right about there, ear. Contour drawing. I can see the seat needs to be up a little higher. There it is. Now, all these people are pretty much on the same plane. In other words, let's call them in the foreground. They have lots of detail on them. They have stripes on their shirts. It's a short sleeve shirt. She's got stripes in here. A dress. Let's see, her hair's up like this. As you recede in the distance, these figures are going to get smaller here. Let's take these people right here, this couple here, and if they're in the distance, these two people talking together, they got their dog with them. Less detail. Heads are still on the horizon line. Oh, she's walking her dog. Yeah. Let's add some color on these.
So usually use a red for skin tone.
It's red, orange, and burnt sienna, and um, Van Dyke brown.
Okay.
For these smaller figures in here, I use my technique is called dot smash legs. So dot smash and then legs. Say dot smash legs, right?
That makes sense.
Dot smash legs. Dot smash leg. As they get recede in the distance, so you don't put a lot of detail in there, but you get
Mhm.
the idea.
Yeah.
Oh, and the dog is it's smash, 3 legs, 1, 2, 3, and then a tail.
Mhm.
Pop this up. Pop some color in there. Okay. And one of the most important things to do when you're doing these figures is to put a shadow underneath the figures. So there's on the ground. And you get a light source also. So more detail as you're in the foreground here. So put some shadow on here. So these are good to practice this. You got, figures in the foreground, more detail. As you recede, less detail. They're smaller. If you're on the same, if it's level, then you want the heads on the horizon line. There's different things when they're looking downhill or uphill, but we won't cover that in this session. I like them.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah,
Very nice. Thank you.
yeah, sure. Any other questions on the chat there?
Nope.
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 Everybody's busy doing these things, so I encourage folks to practice these figures. Take your own photos, blow them up, shake them down, whatever you need to do to practice and get these in scale. So let's see, put these two things together here. I'm going to move this thing out of the way, move this out of the way. Does that work?
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah. So hope everybody's enjoyed themselves this evening.
Yes.
And anything else you want me to do? I could do some other kinds of things, or any other tips you want to know about.
So is it cobalt turquoise?
Cobalt turquoise, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a typo I made.
Yeah, let's see if you could see it here. There.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's cobalt turquoise. I use lavender,
Sure. Yeah.
cobalt blue, ultramarine, olive, perylene, burnt sienna,
Like
and
brown.
a
Umber?
brown, Van
Van
Dyke
Dyke
brown.
brown.
Oh, Van Dyke brown. Okay.
And then a lemon yellow, cobalt yellow, I mean cadmium yellow, cad red, and then alizarin. If I'm traveling like in Italy, I'd probably get a yellow ochre.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
So lots of thank yous.
yeah,
Everybody said it was really fun.
yeah.
David, when you travel overseas, do you bring tubes or just your palette?
I used to do groups. I'm sort of traveling by myself, and I'll tag along. One of my friends was teaching a workshop in Sicily, so I asked to tag along. So graciously let me stay at the place where they're having their workshop, and I told them I'll stay out of the way, and I'll find my own places to paint. But he conducted his class, and then I sort of tagged along and got on the bus and that kind of thing. So I was able to travel around. And then at dinner time, we had really interesting conversations with the other artists there in the workshop. And then, just share some of things that I noticed about their paintings, or do informal kind of critiques and that kind of stuff, and have fun with it. I
When
like
you
doing that.
when you travel, do you bring tube paints with you, or do you just bring your travel palette?
I bring, if I'm out over to if it's over a week, I'll bring two paints.
Okay.
You get 2 to 3 weeks, you need to I'll bring my two paints and put those on my carry-on.
So that's the best way to do them, is bring them in your carry-on?
Yeah, yeah. I put them in a clear plastic bag, and I haven't had any problems with them. You know, I just
But
tell them it's
CSA.
They see the brushes in there, all in my carry-on, and the paints and stuff, and so they know I'm an artist. After a while, they get used to seeing that. So I've opened it up once or twice before, but never had a problem with traveling in there. They're not toxic or anything, and they're small tubes, so they're not over 3 ounces.
Yeah. Great to know.
Yeah. Mhm.
For the shadows under the people, the formula is the blue and alizarin,
No, I use a gray.
a gray.
Yeah, usually like if it's like a blue gray. If
Okay,
it's like a sidewalk, like a
right.
warm, if it's
Okay.
warm gray, then I'll use a cool shadow.
Okay, and then another question was if you ever draw eyes, mouth on your background people, or just leave it to the imagination.
I leave it to the imagination.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's like this figure over here. If
Yeah.
you do one with a lot of detail, the one next to it's going to look, people fill in the blanks.
Right.
Yeah.
And someone suggesting that Daniel Smith has great watercolor sticks. That's pure pigment, perfect.
Oh, okay.
So
I haven't tried those. They're
yeah,
like crayon, and then water soluble.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're all pure pigment, no crayon, just solid pigment.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah,
So you don't need a lot of.
not at all.
No, just a little goes a long way.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
Okay. You get some really serious vibrant color
Yeah.
out of that.
I think he
bet.
has about 26 of them, 26 colors now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so check them out.
And
They're nice.
could you color mix with that?
You can just paint right from the stick. You can mix blending in the palette.
Okay.
He has some great things on YouTube about them. They're wonderful paints.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what do you use for blending? You use like a water brush or just a regular
You could use a
watercolor
water
brush?
brush, a regular brush.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect when you travel. You don't have to worry about the tubes, Sometimes
Ah,
open them up, the paint go. So this way it's like,
how many colors do you carry?
um, and the sticks you can carry as many as you like. It doesn't matter.
Okay,
Yeah, I think he has about 26 of them now, maybe 26,
really? Wow.
30. All his colors are beautiful. Well, Daniel Smith's nice colors anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah. The
So,
pigment's probably really strong. I
yeah, it
have to
is. It
suspect.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just a
Okay.
tip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But thank you so much.
Sure. Absolutely. So if anybody has any places, I'm thinking about just an artist retreat with no instruction, just
Ooh.
a place where we could just go hang out and paint together. I love to hear what people have to say, where to go, and or places they've gone with. It's just a retreat. You show up there, and there's probably a van or a bus that takes us somewhere, and then we come back and we have lunch or dinner, that kind of stuff. No instruction, just hang out. I'd love to hear about places to go, and
I'd love it.
That
you know
sounds
That'd
nice.
be awesome. Asilomar
Yeah.
is a great spot. You can hike down to the beaches. You got the dunes. You can stay there at the Asilomar facility.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Any in Europe that you heard about?
I was just got back late last year from we did 5 different locations Europe, but we did the Cinque Terre hikes and Vianza. There was a group actually a workshop going on down on the harbor, and they seemed like they were having a great time. And I talked to several of the students, but that looked like a great place to hang out and just paint.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's what I'm looking for. A place to paint, and when you get back, there's some nice home cooking.
Yeah,
Mhm.
restaurants. There's tons of restaurants. There's lots of places to stay.
Mhm.
Anywhere in that region would be great. We also were up in Porto Santa Margarita, and that was another really wonderful spot in terms of old city, new city type stuff, waterfront, um, uh, just lots of things that you could paint.
Mm-hmm. I think La Romita in Umbria.
Umbria, yeah, somebody just
Yeah,
mentioned that.
I used to teach there, and every once in a while they would have artist retreats. So that may be another place to think about if he's still doing those
Yeah.
retreats there. That's a fun place. Great food. They have lots. You go around Umbria and get on a bus in the morning and then go paint and then
Mhm.
come back. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh,
Sounds great.
That's
You got lots and lots and lots of compliments. We had 100 people at one point.
Wow.
okay.
So you had good attendance, and everybody just praises you for your wonderful artwork. And they loved going along and doing the figures and painting your Venice scene.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what? It doesn't come without practice. I had to look at this scene and actually determine how am I going to break it down so we could do a paint along.
Yep.
So it did require some practice and figuring out basically the script, and then what are the visuals that people are going to need in order to paint along and sketch along. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
enjoyed
everybody
doing.
says thank you. The chat is just full of compliments and
Okay.
thank
You're
so.
welcome. Prego.
Great.
Thanks, David.
Thank
Okay.
Thanks,
you.
David.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.